Welcome back. So this is the fifth video in this module, and in this video we are going to be looking at tuples. We just started off the concept of lists, and we did nested this in the last video. So tuples are generally immutable data type, unlike lists where you know that once you create a list you can go ahead and mutate the list, change the content of the list, delete items from the list, and do a whole lot of things to the list. When it comes to tuples, they are immutable. That means you can't change their content, you can modify a tuple once it has been created. This comes with some advantages also, apart from disadvantage that you can modify it. The advantage is it becomes read only, so you don't give user the access to the permission to do some other things in this data structure, because you don't want that. Number two, it becomes faster than lists. So tuples generally are faster than lists, okay? Because they don't allow you to mutate them, okay? And number three, you have limited operations on them. So unlike lists where you have a whole lot of things you can do with them, you can add, you can add items, you can go ahead and change the content of the value of a particular item in the list, and a whole lot of things. But in tuples you have limited methods. So let's move down to our ID and see what we are talking about. So for you to create a tuple, unlike list that comes with square brackets, tuples come with parentheses. So to create a tuple, let's have a tuple of coordinates. Okay, so tuple coordinates, and then I have this bracket. Then let's say the coordinate I have is this, and the longitude and latitude. Okay, so this is what I have. That's a tuple. So just like all other containers, you can get the length. You can get the length of the tuple, and it's going to say you have two items in a tuple. That's number one. Number two, you can extract a particular item from a tuple as usual. So I can extract the first item. I can extract the last item, -1. So when it comes to indexing, it's similar to that of lists and string, all the same. But what are the possible things we can perform on a tuple? You can slice a tuple, okay? So I can say I want to slice from index 0 down to the end. So which means I'm saying slice out everything. Okay, that's basically what it means. I'm getting out everything. But what I want to perform on a tuple, they are limited. So you can see we can only count how many items, how many times a particular item occurs, and what's the index of a particular item. So I can ask, what is the index of 20? And that will give me an error because there is no 20 there. But if I ask for the index of let's have 1 to 4, index of 1 to 4, you can see the index of 1 to 4 is 1, because 1 to 4 is the second item we have in the tuple. But I can't add a new item, and I can't assign an item. So I can say something like coordinate of 0, trying to replace the first item. I say this is equal to 100. It's going to alarm at me. It's telling me that tuple object does not support item assignment. It's not possible. So if you want to add a new item, basically what you need to do is to go ahead and modify the initial one you have. I can say coordinate equal to let's have the first value. I have 1 to 4, and I have 100. This is me creating a new object basically, but it's going to override the last one because I'm using the same name. If I don't want it to override the last one, I'll go ahead and give it a different name. So I can get the last two items from this, which is from index 1 down to the end. That's slicing, remember? That's going to work out fine for us. So you can see you're limited in terms of what you can do with tuple, but it comes with a great advantage. So whenever you want to create something where you don't want the user to modify, one good example is the one I'm using here, coordinates. So the coordinate of a particular the position, the coordinate of a particular area is meant to be the same all through. You don't have to modify it. Okay, so whenever you have those kind of things, or okay, that's when you go ahead and use tuples. Otherwise you go ahead and use lists. So browse for possibly different advantage. What's the advantage of lists over tuples, of which you can get them, you can um, guess them already, picture them, and the advantage of tuples over lists. So whenever you have a particular problem, using the right data structure is always very important. So look at the problem very well. Do I use tuples? Do I use lists? Do I use a dictionary? Do I use a set? Okay, but you can easily convert tuples down to list if you want. If I want to add new items to this tuple, I can easily convert it to list. So how do I convert to list? I can just wrap it around list. So if I wrap this around list, that becomes list. This is what we have now, is a list. But I want to assign this to still something else. Let me assign it to still coordinates. So this time around, if I check what coordinate is, you see that it is a list. If I check the type of coordinates, it's actually going to be a list. So now I can go ahead and add new items to coordinates, or I can change the item in a particular position. I can say, okay, that item should be equal to 10. So if I check what coordinate is now, you can see that the item has changed to 10. So that's how you convert from. So let's say I do this and then I want to convert back to a tuple, then it's also quite easy. You can say tuple and pass in coordinates. Okay, and now if I check the type of coordinates, you'll notice that it has changed back to tuple. So this is how you convert from tuple to coordinate, and then to list, and then from list back to. Now one more thing, you don't really need parentheses for you to create a tuple. If I want to create a tuple, I can simply have this, and without the parentheses, this will be seen as a tuple automatically. So if I run this and I have v, I have a tuple. So you don't really need parentheses to create a tuple. Once you have things that are separated by comma, the default assumption of Python is that they are tuples. So we can do a couple of things with this. Number one, let's say I want to swap two items. I have a to be equal to 12 and I have b to be equal to 10, and I want to swap. I want a to be 10 and then I want b to be 12. What we can possibly do, the number one method, is to create a new variable. So I can have temp and allow temp to store the value of a. Okay, so now temp is equal to a. So now I'm going to say a is equal to b, then now b is equal to temp. So if I print the value of a, you see the value of a now is 10. If I print the value of b, the value of b now is 12. This is how we do it in almost all programming languages to swap two items. We need to create a temporary variable, but without creating this temporary variable, swapping a and b is going to be difficult. But with tuple, it becomes very easy for you to do. So I have x to be equal to 45 and I have y to be equal to 90. I want to swap these two. All I can possibly do is to perform multiple assignment on one line. So I can say x comma y is equal to y comma x. So what I'm doing right now is simply assignment, multiple assignment on one line. So I'm creating a tuple. This is a tuple per se. This is another tuple. Okay, so it's more like I'm doing what they call destructuring, tuple destructuring, or unpacking. So I'm saying the first item in this tuple, put it here. Second item in this tuple, give it to this variable. So I'm assigning the first item in the tuple, because this part I have here is more like this. This is what I have here. So I'm saying give the first item to x, give the second item to y. So this will automatically do the work for you, and then you can go ahead to print x and then print y, and then you notice that the values having swaps. Okay, so that's it guys for this video. In the next video we are going to be starting out dictionary. Okay, And one last thing before we go into dictionary, I can easily delete what I have in a tuple. So if this is a tuple, I can go ahead and delete it. So now I no longer have coordinates in memory. If I check for what coordinate is, it's going to give me an error. I no longer have coordinates in memory. Okay, so stop this video here. I'll see you guys in the next video where we are going to be talking about dictionaries. Okay, so go ahead, like, subscribe to the channel and share the videos across. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.